The first blow came so quick the pavement diners barely had time to glance up from their burrata. It was late May 2023 outside a dimly lit trattoria on Knightsbridge Green, where a hedge fund analyst and his fiancée lingered over espresso. A blacked-out Piaggio scooter glided to the curb. The pillion, dressed head to toe in Lululemon and a mirrored shark helmet, slammed a weighted sap into the analyst's jaw. In the same motion, he zipped off a stainless steel Rolex Daytona, hopped back on the bike, and vanished into Harrods traffic. 42 seconds. No plate, no face, no chance. By dawn the next morning, the Met's flying squad had logged the incident as the 48th high-value watch robbery in 7 weeks, each executed with a precision suggesting professional choreography. Most victims were affluent men leaving restaurants or hotel bars. A handful were tourists distracted by storefront Christmas and summer displays. But the pattern shifted when an off-duty diplomat's wife was shoved to the curb outside Claridge's, her 24,000-pound Lady-Datejust torn away, leaving her with a broken clavicle. Social media outrage ignited. Headlines screamed Rolex waiters rule West End. Detective Chief Inspector Eleanor was handed the mess. A veteran of Operation Minotaur, the team that took down the Heathrow gold heist ringleaders, Walsh knew shiny trinkets often masked deep-rooted networks. She formed Taskforce Meridian, a multi-agency unit blending flying squad muscle, Met cyber intel, and the City of London's fraud sleuths. At stand-up briefings, Walsh pinned mugshots on a corkboard. Yaqub Harkat, 28, Algerian French, a moped thief turned logistics fixer. Mohammed Nas, 25, Moroccan Belgian, suspected fence with Hatton Garden contacts. Adel Mohammedi, 22, French-Algerian courier nicknamed Ghost for his disappearances into maze-like estate alleys. And Yanis Amri, 30, the alleged strategist, a Tunisian expat whose Telegram handle @TimeBandit boasted London wrists, Paris wallets. The quartet whispered through half a dozen countries, connected by Balkan SIM cards and cryptocurrency tumblers. They seemed to adopt the old jihadi compartment model. Each cell member knew only one upstream contact. That made penetration tricky, but not impossible. Walsh authorized a two-pronged approach. First, saturate hotspots with covert vulnerability decoys, plainclothes officers sporting genuine Rolex and Patek Philippe models on loan from insurers. Second, follow the money. If Nas truly brokered stripped watch movements through Hatton Garden, surveillance teams would capture him meeting jewel trade middlemen. Setting bait meant choosing officers who could blend in among Mayfair's wealthy. Detective Sergeant Callum Price, 31, ex-Royal Marines, impeccable Savile Row suits, would pose as a Qatari fund advisor named Kareem Al-Barra. Detective Constable Zoe Patel, fluent in French and Arabic, a watch enthusiast herself, would play his PA. Each received a 2020 Pepsi-dialed GMT Master 2 worth £17,500, fitted with a hidden NFC chrono tag broadcasting to Met vans. Their first operational night fell on 9 June. Price and Patel dined at Scott's, leaving just after midnight. 2 scooters tracked them from Mount Street to Grosvenor Square, confirmed by CCTV pings to Tyco-style analytics. Price, earwig buzzing, whispered code. Portfolio is volatile, signaling tail contact. As they paused to unlock a BMW, one helmeted assailant swung a rubber mallet. Price feigned shock, letting his arm slack so the robber could yank the GMT. Before the thief sprinted, hidden officers pounced. But Mohammedi, the runner, dropped a smoke canister, clouding infrared optics. He escaped on a pillion piloted by Harkat, cutting down a no-entry lane. Still, victory glimmered. Mohammedi left fingerprints on the watch clasp. Forensics matched the print to a 2019 Paris arrest for scooter theft. Under the Schengen database, French police shared last known address, a hostel in Barbès. Walsh alerted Interpol, but she needed live intel, not old records. 2 mornings later, City of London analysts flagged unusual crypto flows. $48,300 worth of Monero moved from a wallet tied to @TimeBandit to a freshly created address on an Estonian exchange. The timestamp aligned with the Scots robbery. Investigators froze the funds by filing KYC alerts. That chokehold forced Omri to seek a new laundering route. Days ticked. Street robberies paused. A calm Walsh knew indicated regrouping. On 22nd June, Hatton Garden CCTV captured Nas entering a basement workshop carrying a jiffy bag bulging watch movement size. Surveillance vans tailed him to a riverside gastropub in Wapping, where he met a bearded man in wraparound shades. Facial recognition software pinged. Serb national Dragan Pavlovic, suspected Balkan crime family courier. Walsh convened a covert clip team. Price and Patel as luring buyers, plus an Albanian undercover, Besnik Kyukya, to pose as Dubai dealer's fixer. A rendezvous was set for a disused Southwark warehouse. Pavlovic, enticed by the promise of buying 10 no-paper submariners, arranged delivery in 4 days. While decoy plans brewed, Mama Didi resurfaced in Marseille, caught on toll road cameras heading toward Lyon. French gendarmes attempted a traffic stop. Mama Didi ditched the car, vanishing into Port des Alpes estate. But his duffel bag, left behind, yielded 3 Rolex bezels, acid etching tools, and a prepaid UK SIM. The SIM last pinged a Brick Lane cell tower, the orbit of Yaqub Harkat. Walsh interpreted the moves. Parts funneled south, payments north. A final London shipment likely imminent. She greenlit Operation Apex, an undercover exchange designed to nab all 4 principals plus downstream fences. In the warehouse on 26 June, Price and Patel waited, wearing body cams disguised as shirt buttons. Pavlovic arrived with Nas and Harkat. Cardboard boxes revealed 14 watch movements, each bubble-wrapped. Price, improvising arrogance, demanded to inspect serials. Nas scoffed. No serial, no problem. Before Harkat could object, warehouse shutters rattled. A second convoy, Mama Didi's security. But vans held Mama Didi and Omri instead, misreading directions and stumbling straight into unarmed decoys, blowing cover prematurely. Mama Didi recognized Price from the Scotsop, shouted, "Police!" Chaos erupted. Walsh, listening in a command van, ordered armed units to strike. Flashbangs cracked. Officers stormed. Pavlovic surrendered instantly. Nas tried flushing phones down a chemical toilet. Kwaikya restrained him. Harkat sprinted through a side corridor, clambering a fire escape, where a drone spotlight fixed him mid-ladder. He froze, hands trembling above a GMT bezel he tried to swallow. Omri attempted a last-ditch motorcycle getaway. Tires spiked, he skidded into bollards, fracturing a wrist. Fitting irony. Seized evidence included 31 stripped Rolex movements, 60,000 cash, a ledger mapping 73 London robberies to resell codes, and 2 Telegram phones with group chat Royal Vault. In custody, each suspect lawyered. But digital trails, prints, and witness IDs stacked high. CPS readied conspiracy charges, carrying life maximum robbery sentences. Taskforce Meridian's first phase closed with all 4 pillars captured. Yet Walsh knew the glow of triumph often masks aftershocks, copycats, legal maneuvers, and perhaps bigger clients overseas. Operation Apex set the stage. 5 more parts of this saga will uncover how undercover decoys, cyber sleuths, and international liaisons fought to dismantle the entire horological underworld. Detective Chief Inspector Ellie Walsh barely slept after Operation Apex. 4 prime suspects were in cells, but the evidence mountain had to be sorted before defense teams picked it apart. At 6 a.m. the day after the Solwork warehouse raid, she convened a war room meeting. Coffee fumes mingled with the chemical stench still clinging to seized boxes, labeled cleaned cases, and unserialized calibers. On the board she wrote a sequence only she found reassuring. Robbery, strip, transit, crypto, reassembly. Each arrow would need courtroom-grade proof. The suspects lawyered up fast. Yaqub Harkat retained a silk from Lincoln's Inn, famous for shredding police procedure. Mama Didi Nas claimed immunity was owed because his Hatton Garden workshop was a legitimate bespoke service. Adele Mama Didi hymned about police brutality, and Yanis Omri, ever the strategist, kept silent, opting for a legal aid brief, some cloying theater of the wrongly accused. Walsh anticipated they would argue entrapment, evidence tampering, even racial profiling. Before interviews, forensics triaged. DNA under the lug of a Ref 12600 Sea Dweller matched Harkat. Acid-etched bracelet debris contained minuscule serial fragments that, when scanned under SEM, lined up with a watch stolen from a Chelsea barrister 2 months earlier. Digital techs cloned the phones Nas tried flushing and found Telegram backups. Inside chat logs were voice notes of Omri coaching riders. Aim low, they drop the wrist. 40 seconds maximum. An Excel spreadsheet titled Inventory_Final V3 listed 62 watches with codes. Sky Blue Coke, Batgirl V2, Nautilus Gold. Each had sale price, BTC wallet, receiving courier initials. Walsh needed more. Executing Section 18 searches, detectives raided the men's flats. In Harkat Stratford's studio, they discovered 6 crash helmets with GoPro mounts, memory cards wiped but recoverable. Footage showed daylight reconnaissance of Dover Street Arts Club, audio overlay of Mama Didi saying in French, "That Ferrari lad, gray sub on right hand." A smoking gun. Yet something nagged. During the warehouse chaos, officers recovered only 31 movements, far fewer than spreadsheet tallies. Walsh suspected a second pipeline already shifted bulk shipments out of the country. She turned to financial crimes analyst Saul Okanji, who'd been tracking crypto tumblers. Okanji mapped wallet clusters and found exits through the privacy coin Zcash, converted on a Latvian exchange, then withdrawn as euros in Prague and shipped by cash couriers to Dubai. Interpol check unit confirmed CCTV of Pavlovich meeting a Turkish middleman, hinting at a global carousel. Walsh ordered surveillance on Heathrow's small parcels hub. Border Force installed new X-ray routines for clock parts. Within 48 hours, they intercepted a DHL parcel marked camshafts, addressed to a workshop in Sharjah. Inside, 11 Rolex rotors wrapped in carbon paper and a note, "TM Skyrockets ready." Customs seized the lot, providing tangible proof of export trafficking. While evidence stacked, Walsh's decoy program stayed active. Crime rarely pauses because a crew is busted. Power vacuums invite contenders. Detective Sergeant Callum Price returned to Mayfair wearing a newly issued Yachtmaster. Riding shotgun in a faux rideshare Tesla, rookie Detective Constable Leela Shaw, voice stress analysis prodigy, monitored chatter on a hidden comms link. One humid night near Berkeley Square, a lone rider on an e-bike shadowed Price too obviously. Intel teams nabbed him. The teenager, 17, spilled a name. Milo's lot from Peckham say the Algerians are done. Rolex games open season. Walsh recognized the pattern. Splinter groups. To preempt splinters, Taskforce Meridian launched Operation Lockspring. They pushed intelligence bulletins to borough commands, visited schools near estates, and liaised with youth workers to flag sudden cash flashes, Versace belts, new iPhones, that signal gang recruitment. Community pressure yielded tips. A Lewisham garage welding hidden compartments under scooters, a Peckham barbershop buying stolen bezels for cash. Raids followed. Robbery numbers stayed flat. Meanwhile, in custody, pressure mounted on the quartet. CPS scheduled committal hearings and offered plea deals. Facing overwhelming digital forensics, Harkat folded first. A plea to conspiracy to rob, discounted to 10 years in exchange for naming pre-raid stash sites. He revealed a Walthamstow lockup stuffed with unstripped watches. Officers recovered 18, including Lady-Datejust number 62, the diplomat's wife's piece. Media celebrated. Victim's clavicle still healing, she cried during phone call with Walsh. Harkat's testimony placed Nas as paymaster. Prosecutors stacked money laundering counts, unexplained cash deposits, crypto conversions, luxury car leases. Nas's defense strategy flipped to mental health claims, stress disorder, cultural misunderstanding. A court psychiatrist found malingering. Mohammadi, the runner, tried to cut a deal blaming Omri as mastermind, but call logs contradicted him. He received instructions, never issued them. Realizing isolation, he admitted to 6 robberies and produced a GoPro card with unredacted hits, shockingly including footage of a failed Knightsbridge snatch never reported. That victim, a discreet royal aide, was located and agreed to testify under anonymity. Omri stayed icily mute until CPS revealed the extradition dossier. Serbia offered to prosecute him for prior offenses if UK dropped charges. UK prison, 8-year tariff. Serbian, possible 20. Omri blinked, demanded UK trial with a slim hope of earlier parole. But Walsh had sealed that hope. She invoked the Serious Crime Act to label him a directing mind, raising maximum. When trial opened in January 2024, jurors viewed helmet cam footage showing his voice. Clean swipe, reward double if no blood. Conviction was swift, 14 years, confiscation orders, and a 10-year deportation ban. As verdicts hit headlines, Walsh shifted to asset recovery. Insurers lobbied for restitution. CPS's Proceeds of Crime team auctioned seized luxury cars, Bitcoin, and 3D printers. Proceeds helped reimburse victims and fund Tyco-style projects nationally. But Walsh wasn't done. In Pavlovich's phone archive, investigators found blueprint PDFs for a tiny inertial jammer designed to freeze chronotag pings for 90 seconds, enough to escape first rings of police sensors. Someone overseas had commissioned R&D. The blueprint bore a watermark, Schott Wuhan Zurich. Swiss authorities confirmed a defunct microbrand name, likely an alias. Walsh recognized a new chapter opening. She handed the folder to Assistant Commissioner Markham. We stopped the rippers, but the technology race is on. London was proof of concept. Markham nodded. Next steps. Liaising with Swiss Fedpol, sharing chronotag cryptography with EU counterparts, maybe embedding metropolitan officers in Baselworld under deep cover. The Times asked if Londoners could finally wear watches without fear. Walsh shrugged during a press conference. Fears down, vigilance stays. Her phone buzzed. Price reporting a Rolex theft in Madrid, mirroring London's old pattern. Copycats had emigrated. As Taskforce Meridian prepared Phase 3, Europe-wide cooperation, Walsh reflected. Arrests and convictions closed only the first loop. Luxury crime was elastic. Slice one strand, it stretched elsewhere. Yet each loop tightened oversight, improved tech, and armed colleagues in other cities. London's nights grew calmer, wrists re-emerged from coat cuffs, glinting under Soho neon.
Success, measured not by zero crime, impossible, but by returning perceived freedom. In the shadows, decoy officers still roamed, testifying to the unending dance between flash and grasp, between timepieces built for legacy and thieves fueled by momentary gain. And atop the dance, Detective Chief Inspector Ellie Walsh watched the tempo, ready to reset the metronome whenever the beat of Rolex robberies threatened to surge again. March 2024 opened with a bitter wind and a briefing that felt like déjà vu. Detective Chief Inspector Ellie Walsh stood before Taskforce Meridian's pared-down crew and tapped a blown-up PDF watermark. Shot Zurich. The Swiss alias on Pavlovic's inertial jammer blueprint had become the new focal point, hinting at a second-tier syndicate capable of freezing chronotag pings for 90 seconds, long enough for robbers to vanish into London backstreets before an alarm sounded. Walsh's first slide showed global watch theft spiking in Paris, Milan, and Madrid mere weeks after London convictions. Same playbook, different city. Europe's luxury crime desk flagged chatter about a shadowy engineer nicknamed Horologe Zero. His signature, firmware heists, microjammers hidden inside titanium screwdowns, and zero serial rebuilds shipped in diplomatic pouches. Intelligence suggested he planned to attend Baselworld, the world's premier watch fair, under guise of a micro-brand founder. Walsh proposed Operation Watchtower, the boldest undercover deployment yet. Embed metropolitan officers in Baselworld's labyrinthine exhibition halls to expose Horologe Zero before his tech hit London streets. Home Office approval arrived within 72 hours, along with a terse note. Results expected, we can't fund endless cat and mouse. Sergeant Callum Price shaved his beard, bleached his hair, and adopted a sleeve of temporary horological tattoos. He became Marcel de Vries, Dutch indie watch blogger with 300k fake followers. Detective Constable Zoe Patel transformed into Celine Azadi, Iranian-Swiss movement designer. They carried legitimate microbrand prototypes fitted with chronotag V2 sensors programmed to log every Bluetooth ping around them, an ambient fishing net. Baselworld's mesoplots bustled with journalistic hype about steel shortages and colored ceramic bezels. Amid espresso machines and lacquered display cases, Price pressed flesh with watch geeks, while Patel passed out business cards etched with circuit diagrams, a bait for anyone curious about tampering tech. By day 3, a contact surfaced, a bespectacled man carrying a 1970s Braun calculator, introducing himself in halting English as Sebastian Schott, co-founder of Schott Uhren. His thin smile and low eyelids matched Interpol's facial composite for Horologe Zero. They arranged a private dinner at a Rhineside brasserie. Price smuggled in a lapel mic, Patel a lipstick camera. Over Riesling, Schott rhapsodized about democratizing high horology by selling post-serial modularity, timepieces with user-replaceable identity chips, illegal in every major watchmaking jurisdiction. He bragged he could deliver 50 microjammers by May, timed for Paris Olympics tourist season. Price feigned awe, asking for proof of concept. Schott invited them to a Zurich suburb lab after the fair, exactly Walsh's aim. Back in London, Walsh coordinated with Fedpol Zurich. Undercover status complicated direct Swiss policing, but a joint task order allowed audio capture. Officers wired a goods transport sprinter as a mobile ops room, parking 2 streets over from Schott's address. Inside, Swiss plainclothes specialists prepped for a soft breach. Zurich laws made UK-style dynamic entry tough. The lab tour began innocuously, a converted warehouse filled with CNC mills, vibro-polishing drums, and crates labeled Clock Springs Geneva. Hidden behind a false wall, Price glimpsed hand-soldered boards the size of shirt buttons, jammers disguised as rotor weights. Schott explained the device flooded 2.4 GHz with white noise, blocking Chronotag's BLE handshake. Battery lasted 5 minutes, plenty for a clean escape. Patel asked for a live demo. Shot obliged, sliding the disc under a test watch. A nearby terminal displayed tag loss. Simultaneously, Price's burner phone failed to ping the watch. Proof in seconds. He nodded, concealing dread. Swiss police needed more. A transfer, a document. Price inquired about price tiers. Shot produced a USB drive with pricing spreadsheets and courier routes from Cologne to London. That was enough. At a silent Swiss nod, Fedpol officers entered, presenting warrants. Shot attempted to smash the USB. Patel snatched it first. He reached for a disassembly tool. Price pinned his wrist. Arrest done. USB safe. Seized files revealed 132 jammer orders, half destined for a London contact listed as Clock Market, K, traced to a Kingsland Road antique clock dealer, actually a front for stolen watch trafficking. Walsh dispatched officers. Raid turned up 24 jammers hidden inside antique carriage clocks. Shop owner claimed ignorance, then caved, naming a newly formed gang Skyfall Crew, young East End riders eyeing a comeback. Back in London, Walsh revived decoys with V2 tags, an experimental heartbeat check, a periodic code handshake that, if jammed, sent a distress burst over UWB frequency. Price and new recruit Leela Shaw, now seasoned, tested it outside Selfridges. An accomplice activated a seized jammer nearby. The watch displayed loss, but UWB pinged the nearest patrol phone, showing location within 1 meter. Victory. Tech outpaced criminal R&D, for now. Swiss extradition was swift. Shot faced UK conspiracy charges due to intended victims. In Westminster Magistrates, prosecutors revealed his jam code matched dormant scripts on Pavlovic's old server, linking First Wave to this evolution. Media dubbed Shot Professor Timeout. Yet Skyfall Crew remained. Drone patrols spotted their scout mopeds tracking wealthy shoppers in Covent Garden. Taskforce Meridian placed luxury courier decoys, actors wearing LV scarves, pushing flight cases embossed with watch brand logos. Full dress rehearsal on 18 April culminated in a dramatic takedown. A Skyfall rider smashed a courier's case, exposing nothing but smoke bombs and die packs. The explosion stained him indigo, tagging jacket and helmet. CCTV tracked him to a Hackney flat, where officers seized 4 jammers and 2 3D printed deployment clamps. In court, defense barristers argued jammers were innocuous hobby electronics. Chronotag engineers testified otherwise, demonstrating 80-meter tag silences. Jury delivered guilty verdicts. Another cell of the Hydra removed. Meanwhile, Taskforce Meridian leaned into deterrence. They launched Project Luminary, luxury district billboards and social ads showing side-by-side images. Left, a gleaming submariner. Right, a prison cell door. Caption: Is 12 seconds worth 12 years? Insurance underwrote the campaign. Watch thefts dipped again. Morale soared, but Walsh received a chilling midnight email. Subject line: Time Bandit. The closed account of Giannis Omri, now serving 14 years. The message included a single line of base 64 code. Cyber Unit decoded it into GPS coordinates. Dubai's Gold Souk. Attached was a live stream link showing hands assembling a Daytona bezel. Audio: London's lost its flavor. The Gulf is ripe. IP trace revealed a VPN in Jordan, impossible to subpoena quickly. Walsh forwarded to Interpol, but marked her calendar. Operation Watchtower might soon need a desert chapter. For now, London strolled through a sun-splashed spring relatively at ease. On Jermyn Street, vintage dealers resumed Wrist Check Wednesdays, where collectors admired each other's pieces without fear. Task Force stats showed only 1 successful robbery in a month, the victim too inebriated to clamp his watch strap. Still, decoys roamed, drones patrolled, chronotags pulsed. Ellie Walsh stood on Waterloo Bridge at dusk, Big Ben ticking across the Thames. She reflected on horological metaphors, escapement wheels regulating time, law enforcement checkmating crime. Every innovation birthed a counter-innovation, a perpetual pendulum. She texted Superintendent Okafor. Basel phase closed, gear up for Souk intel. The clock never stops. And somewhere in a London lockup, a teenage offender practiced watchmaker tutorials on YouTube, dreaming of quick riches, unaware his IP address already sat in a Taskforce Meridian watch list. The operation's hands rotated once more, prepared to strike at the next second thieves dared to seize. News of Horologe Zero's takedown should have cooled the streets, but late summer data whispered otherwise. Taskforce Meridian intel analysts began to see new clusters of watch snatch attempts in Canary Wharf, an area historically spared because high-rise security cameras created a panopticon effect. The method was different too. Thieves in logo-free boating jackets approached victims indoors, inside bar lobbies, slipped a scalpel between strap and spring bar, then palmed the watch while a partner distracted with spilled cocktails. Victims sometimes didn't notice for minutes. Security footage showed gloved hands so deft they could pass for stage magicians. Detective Chief Inspector Ellie Walsh suspected a professional pickpocket crew, perhaps graduates of Barcelona's Rambles or Milan Centrale. But a name surfaced from continental police bulletins. Cyril Lechat Menard, a Lyonnais cutpurse who once sliced a Goyard wallet from a Russian oligarch without breaking conversation. Lechat's gang allegedly trained new recruits by having them debone chicken with eyes closed. Europol noted his arrival at Gatwick 3 weeks earlier, flagged by biometric gates. Walsh convened an emergency meeting. Superintendent Carla Okafor presented heat maps. 19 incidents, 16 attempted, 3 successful. Value lost, $420,000, including a platinum Daytona rainbow. Every camera capture of the thief's face was blocked by a baseball cap's curved brim, old school discipline. Yet a forensic win emerged. On a dropped latex finger cot, detectives found traces of rare theatrical rosin, used by magicians for grip. Chemical forensics matched rosin sold by a single Covent Garden props shop. Plainclothes officers stationed there spotted a man purchasing more rosin.
He paid cash, but a parking ticket machine captured his black Audi's plate. DVLA tied the car to a short-term lease under a Bulgarian shell company. Walsh revived undercover tactics but adapted. Instead of bait watches on wrists, she authorized honey cases. Pelican cases painted Rolex green, containing RFID-tagged dummy stock. D.S. Callum Price and D.C. Lila Shaw posed as boutique couriers delivering to a pop-up luxury event in Canary Wharf's Crossrail Place. Inside the bar, decoys mingled while other officers tested a new shoulder-mounted depth camera, capable of detecting rapid hand movements mapped against body heat. On Friday, 23 August, Price placed a honey case on a high table, sipped a mocktail, and complained loudly about 5 Daytonas for a private yacht showing. The room hosted real bankers wearing Richard Milles, perfect camouflage. 10 minutes in, thermal sensors pinged. A figure in red windbreaker brushed Price's elbow. Depth capture flagged a flicker, scalpel angle velocity 2.1 meters per second. Shaw murmured code word, sunset. Price feigned consternation, mate, you all right? The windbreaker man apologized in French-tinged English, stepped back. The honey case latch popped, scalpel had sliced its zip tie. Within seconds, the man's associate accidentally collided, spilling an espresso martini, covering the case splash. They attempted to swap the real Rolex green case with an identical dupe. Police moved. One plainclothes officer blocked the exit. Price gripped windbreaker's wrist, pinning scalpel. The man twisted, lightning fast, tossing a smoke pellet. Sprinklers activated, soaking suits and decoys. Chaos allowed 2 accomplices to slip out a staff door, but not before facial recognition nailed Lechat himself. Chase teams tracked the Audi via ANPR to a Docklands underground car park. Confronted, the crew deployed pepper spray fog, ran stairwells, but Tyco-trained motorbike officers waited topside. Lechat was tackled, a Cartier Santos fell from his pocket. Total haul in their backpack, 2 genuine timepieces worth $180K plus the dummy Daytonas. In questioning, Cyril Menard stayed silent until shown CCTV stills from Lyon linking him to prior heists. Faced with extradition to France on harsher sentences, he opted for a UK plea. His confession uncovered the buyer pipeline. Stolen watches were shipped inside vacuum-sealed sous vide pouches inserted into frozen Wagyu shipments exported to a private Heathrow cargo broker. That broker, flagged in Vuong's earlier spreadsheet, sat under investigatory radar. Walsh sought a covert warrant. Border Force, tipped, x-rayed a pallet of frozen steaks bound for Qatar. Hidden among ribeyes, officers found 5 Datejusts, 3 Royal Oaks, and a Froze-Tech thermal blanket designed to defeat scanners. The broker's office, a nondescript unit near Hounslow, yielded ledgers recording 140 watches trafficked since May, value £12 million. Owner claimed ignorance, but WhatsApp chats displayed him boasting about Bovril packages, slang for beef concealed goods.
Arrested, he pointed higher, a Qatari luxury reseller who pre-sold pieces to Doha elites. This international leap pushed Walsh to enlist Gulf liaison officers. Doha police raided the reseller's showroom, seizing 20 watches with laser-etched serials scrubbed. Qatari media framed it as a crackdown before FIFA Club World Cup tourists arrived. London regained moral high ground. Newspapers hailed Taskforce Meridian for defending global luxury integrity. Yet politically, patience thinned. City Hall demanded cost-benefit audits. Tycotech upgrades and international ops cost millions. Walsh presented return on investment. Robbery down 92%. Insurers saved £25 million. Tourism confidence up. Still, counselors asked, when does the task force stand down? Okafor suggested a phased transition from reactive sting operations to luxury crime fusion center, primarily data analysis and partnership guidance. Walsh agreed, but insisted on a final legacy project, Chronotag V3, integrating satellite fallback beacons using low-orbit nanosats. Even jammers or freezer trucks couldn't block them. A private aerospace company offered piggyback payload spots. Cost $2 million. Insurers balked until a Goldman Sachs partner, victim of that rainbow Daytona theft, pledged half personally. Chronotag V3 prototypes launched September 2024. Tests in Faraday cages proved successful, pings reaching orbit, then bouncing to police terminals within 45 seconds. Thieves online laughed, space cops, but chatter slowed. Cyril Menard received 9 years, the cargo broker, 7. Watches recovered were reunited with owners in a ceremony outside New Scotland Yard. Cameras captured smiles, PR gold for the Met. Inside quiet offices, Walsh prepped to hand the baton. She wrote guidelines titled Decoy Ops, Global Watch Crime Playbook, detailing lessons from mopeds to jammers to sleight of hand. She slipped a note to Price, time's yours now. On her last night as task force head, Walsh walked through Covent Garden. A street busker strummed time after time. She glanced at passers-by, wrists free, some shiny, others hidden. Balance restored, however temporarily. She tapped her own Tudor Black Bay, gifted by grateful jewelers, now sporting a V3 chip, humming quietly with orbital reassurance. But above, another metaphorical timer ticked. Reports from Tokyo hinted at drone-enabled grab-and-go attacks, mini quadcopters with magnetic claws lifting watches from wrists in crowds. Walsh, en route to a new countercrime directorate, smiled wryly. Technology would always stretch the bounds. Guardians must calibrate anew. She texted Okafor, watch the skies. And so, as London's clock towers chimed midnight, Taskforce Meridian wrote its final line in city history, a chronicle of speed, intellect, and adaptation, proof that when crime evolves, the hands of justice can spin faster, so long as someone cares enough to keep winding the mechanism. An amber dawn settled over Dubai's Dara district as Detective Inspector Leela Shah stepped from a battered Nissan taxi, blending into the bustle of the gold souk. She tugged a linen hijab forward, hiding the bone-conducting earpiece that linked her to Taskforce Meridian's forward command in a nearby hotel suite. After London, Basel, and the Swiss Jammer raid, Operation Desert Dial represented the most distant reach yet of the Met's luxury crime crusade. Their quarry, a shadow broker the intel files called the Falconer. He supplied Gulf elites with stripped Rolexes and Richard Milles smuggled from Europe, paid moped gangs in crypto, and, according to French DGSI signals, financed drone-enabled grab squads that had begun lifting watches from wrists at Tokyo's Shibuya crossing. Tracking him required bait. Shah posed as Abir Rahmani, a Lebanese fixer for Qatari collectors. On her wrist gleamed a rose-gold Richard Mille RM037, real, loaned by an insurer, fitted with Chronotag V3. Her backstory, she could obtain fire sale pieces from a bankrupt Russian oligarch. Word seeded through Telegram jewel channels drew the Falconer's messenger, a Somali runner with a Philadelphia Eagles cap who whispered, "Number 1 will meet after Fajr at Spice Suit Cafe." Meanwhile, in London, Superintendent Carla Okafor led a skeleton Meridian team tracking knock-on threats. Drone trial runs near Westfield and Canary Wharf using toy quadcopters fitted with neodymium claws. Police disabled 3, but 1 escaped with a titanium Apple Watch. Proof concept. Engineers at Chronotag Labs scrambled to integrate UWB jam pulses that would fry drone guidance within 5 meters. The arms race remained relentless. Dubai's humidity made Shah's hijab cling, but adrenaline cooled her nerves. At 5:17 a.m., she entered the cafe, a haze of cardamom and sweet shisha. A portly man in spotless kandora sat alone, Rolex Pepsi glinting. His eyes, hawk-sharp, flicked over her watch. Without greeting, he said, "Flightless birds bring no joy. Show me wings." Code confirmed. She unclipped the RM037, passed it across. He produced a jeweler's loop, inspected the movement for tamper marks. None visible, thanks to Met watchmakers who hid the satellite beacon inside the case middle rather than rotor. He quoted a price, 250,000 dirham. Shah countered, specifying she wanted to move multiples. He nodded. A gloved aide appeared with a velvet roll containing 6 watches, 4 Daytonas, a Nautilus, and a Rainbow Daytona, the same stolen off a Canary Wharf banker months earlier. Serial scrubbed, but micro-laser pitting matched Tycho's missing watch list. Proof. Shah feigned delight. The falconer suggested relocating to his majlis to finalize. Outside, the satellite tracker pulsed every 15 seconds. In the hotel command room, Interpol liaison Mile DuPont watched blips inch toward Dubai Creek. Emirati CID teams stood ready. Diplomatic sensitivities required local arrest. At the majlis, the falconer's guards disarmed Shah's phone, unaware the watch still pinged orbit. Negotiations stretched. She promised a pipeline of 30 distressed mills via Geneva. He offered crypto clearing at 4%. He boasted drones would soon make European streets open shelves. CID patience ran thin. They raided. Flashbangs rattled brass teapots. Shah hit the floor, hands overhead to protect the RM037. The falconer attempted to destroy a ledger tablet. Forensic powder later recovered wallet seeds worth £14 million. Arrested, he revealed identity. Khalid Al-Obeid, Kuwaiti ex-customs officer banned for graft, now luxury contraband king. News of Al-Obeid's capture sprinted through watch forums. London insurers celebrated, but asked Okafor if this truly ended the saga. Her reply, "Crime is networked. We cut nodes." Nevertheless, the capture yielded crucial intel. Al-Obeid's drone supplier was Nairobi-based Skyraptor Robotics, shipping kits as agricultural pollinators. Kenyan police, tipped by UK NCA, raided a warehouse near Jomo Kenyatta Airport, seizing 40 claw-equipped drones, each named after birds of prey. Back in London, City Hall re-evaluated Taskforce Meridian's mandate.
Successes had spanned continents, but budgets bled. A public-private consortium stepped in, 5 insurers, 3 Swiss brands, 1 Japanese technology firm. They funded the Global Horology Crime Alliance, GHCA, headquartered in Canary Wharf's cybersecurity campus. Okafor accepted directorship, seconded from the Met. Her charter, data share across 20 cities, maintain Chronotag orbital network, and coordinate rapid deployment decoy teams. Inspector Callum Price assumed day-to-day London command. His first act? Deploy anti-drone net guns on rooftops near luxury shopping arcades, train shop staff to activate jamming beacons, integrate Chronotag V3 heartbeats with ShotSpotter microphones to pick up micro-rotor anomalies. Results? Drone attempts thwarted twice in a fortnight, one netted mid-air like a silverfish. Video went viral on TikTok, deterrence via meme. Cyril Menard keeled his 9-year sentence, arguing sudden sprinkler activation endangered him unreasonably. Appeal dismissed. Swiss authorities sentenced Horolog 0 to an additional 8 years for export control breaches. Vuong, serving 18, began cooperating, mapping the last of his customer tree. Watches turned up in Cape Town and Monte Carlo. GHCA task teams issued recovery warrants. With global architecture solidifying, Walsh, now senior advisor, hosted a summit at New Scotland Yard. Delegates from NYPD, Tokyo MPD, Dubai CID, and Swiss Fedpol debated V4 specs, biometric pairing to wearer's pulse, self-destructing QR codes, and decentralized recovery bounties. A spirited argument broke whether tech alone invites escalation. Walsh concluded, "We marry tech with human craft, undercover charm, community intel, and swift justice. That synergy rewinds criminal clocks."
Yet a whispered post-summit sidebar unsettled her. A Tokyo officer mentioned rumors of quantum-safe spoofing chips sold on the darknet, hardware that could mimic chronotag heartbeats without detection. Price joked they'd launch V5 with entangled photons. Walsh smiled, noting inside that vigilance remains forever. Late autumn, London's Bond Street unveiled holiday lights, gears and hourglasses, tribute to Tycho's impact. Collectors queued outside boutiques for waitlist allocations, wrists proudly exposed. A group of 12-year-olds on scooters zipped past, food delivery livery. One kid's trainer sported a secret society lightning bolt, once seen on Hassan's crew. Price clocked it, radioed a patrol. Moments later, officers found the boys practicing drone claws on a discarded Coke can. They were cautioned, parents summoned, and invited to GHCA's youth apprenticeship, the diversion program transforming would-be thieves into legitimate watch technicians. On a chilly December night, Shaw returned to London, her undercover hijab traded for a wool coat. She joined Walsh and Okafor atop the Shard for quiet champagne. Below, a neon city ticked without sirens. Shaw lifted her wrist, the RM-037 remained, chronotag orbiting silently overhead. Okafor toasted, to time, precious, relentless, and now better protected. Walsh added, until the next innovation. They clinked glasses as Big Ben struck midnight, the chimes echoing across a metropolis where wrists once hid in fear, but now sparkled freely. Each watch a tiny dial, testifying to the evolving ballet between crime and those who refuse to let darkness wind the gears unchecked. January 2025, Canary Wharf, London's newest skyline sentinel, GHCA's glass-walled fusion center, hums like a chronometer. A half-moon of analysts pour over global feeds. Drones grounded in Milan, sneaker smugglers nabbed in LA, a ping from chronotag V3 signaling a stolen Nautilus entering Sao Paulo customs. Above them, Superintendent Carla Okafor, now GHCA director, swipes through dashboards. Every green tick is a robbery prevented. Every red pulse means deployment. 2 years earlier, Taskforce Meridian was a high-risk experiment. Today, its descendants monitor luxury crime across 6 continents. Detective Inspector Callum Price strides in, trade show lanyard still hanging. He just returned from Geneva's Watches and Wonders, where V4 chronotag prototypes debuted. Biometric pairing, quantum-resilient encryption, and a carbon nanotube filament that self-frays if tampered. Swiss executives cheered, collectors worried about resale purists. Thieves scrolled darknet boards searching loopholes. Price tops a screen. Since V3 launch, London's high-value watch robberies have averaged 1 every 45 days, down from 10 per week at the 2021 peak. Momentum, he says, but complacency is a luxury we can't afford. On the Thames embankment, a courtroom crowd gathers for the final sentencing tied to Operation Desert Dial. Khalid Al-Abeid, aka the Falconer, stands as Mr. Justice Hamnet recites charges, handling stolen goods, conspiracy to launder criminal property, directing drone theft operations. Evidence chain, Shaw's undercover bust, Nairobi drone seizure, ledger tablet decoding 13 crypto wallets. The judge delivers, 16 years plus 14 million confiscation. Tabloids flash the headline, bird in a cage. Across London, jewelers breathe easier, but GHCA knows verdicts rarely erase demand. Lila Shah, freshly promoted to detective inspector, watches the sentencing stream from GHCA HQ. Her Richard Mille RM-037, still fitted with orbital tag, rests quietly.
She composes a memo. Emerging Threat Matrix. Ultra-mini EMP rings. Intercepted chatter points to copper coil cocktail rings capable of zapping chronotags within a 10-centimeter arc. Engineers simulate. V3 withstands 1 pulse. Older tags fail. Solution: public conversion day. Boutique service counters swap V1, V2 chips to V3 for free. An event branded Secure the Sparkle. Marketing gurus design posters. Insurers foot the bill. Meanwhile, rehabilitation efforts take root. The GHCA Youth Horology Program graduates its first class, a dozen former scooter runners now certified watch service technicians. One apprentice, Tyrone May, once netted £500 per snatch. He now earns that weekly polishing Royal Oak bracelets in Clerkenwell. Press celebrates from rip-off to Swiss SPAC. Critics call it PR spin, but recidivism among graduates remains zero. Back at Fusion Center, Okafor convenes an intercontinental briefing.
Time zones align London, Tokyo, NYC, Dubai. The agenda, quantum-safe spoofing chips, rumored out of Shenzhen. Tokyo's liaison displays teardown photos. Chips replicate biometric hash, fooling even V4 prototypes. GHCA's plan, embed a one-time photon counter inside tags. Spoofers reset photon sequence incorrectly, triggering global alert. Japanese partner Seiko funds R&D. Swiss houses share patents. GHCA orchestrates. Walsh, dialing in from a policy role at the Home Office, grins. Look how far collaborations come, she says. Once we each guarded trade secrets, now we share to starve predators. Even so, a London setback looms. A public accounts committee audits Taskforce legacy spending. Some MPs argue luxury crimes sap resources from violent crime units. Okafor testifies. Robberies once spilled blood, shattered jaws, tarnished tourism. Prevention saves A&E costs, policing hours, trauma ripple. She cites numbers. 60 million cumulative insurer savings, 40% fewer street trauma hospital admissions in robbery hotspots. The committee votes to sustain funding but impose performance reviews every 18 months. Accountability clock set. Spring's first warm Friday brings Londoners to terrace cafes. At Southbank Centre, a young couple live streams sunset. Viewers spot a steel Daytona glinting. Comments gush admiration, not warning. It's a small cultural shift, fear receding into memory. On a nearby rooftop, GHCA drone sentries hover silently, part of a 12-unit deterrent grid. Their machine vision models flag suspicious hand flick velocities. No hits tonight. Yet, vigilance remains. Price flicks through social media intel. A Dubai luxury lifestyle influencer boasts meeting a London plug for Stealth Straps 2.0. Shaw requests marketing spend to seed anti-theft content on the same channels. Soft power, memes of drone claws smashed by net guns, reels of Tycho decoys flipping arrest cuffs, testimonials from reformed offenders promising the hustle always ends behind bars. Engagement skyrockets. Crime scientists note a new phenomenon, stigmatotic deterrence, when the glamour of crime erodes under well-publicized failure. June 2025 marks the 4th anniversary of the first Rolex Repper attack. GHCA stages the TimeSafe Expo at the Design Museum. Interactive displays on movement tech, workshops teaching strap release self-defense, and panels featuring ex-offenders, now watchmakers. Visitors queue to scan their watches tags, see orbital confirmation on giant screens. One gray-haired American tourist bursts into tears when the system pings her late husband's stolen Datejust, recovered in Cape Town. Media capture the moment. It airs globally. Later that night, GHCA officers monitor an alert. Chronotag V3, Rainbow Daytona class, parted from paired pulse in Soho, jamming suspected. Drone units scramble. CCTV finds a figure slipping through alleys. Officers corner him. Teenager, 14, wielding a DIY EMP ring built from YouTube schematics. The watch emerges unharmed. UWB beacon fried the ring mid-theft. Instead of custody, the boy is offered diversion. Join summer horology camp. Learn why craftsmanship trumps crime. Walsh approves pilot under Home Office social impact funding. Critics grumble soft touch, but GHCA bets on long-game prevention. August, Geneva. Chronotag V4 passes ISO certification. Swiss CEO toasts. From space to quantum, elegance endures. Okafor signs licensing deals, profits funneled back to global enforcement. The Met announces that London streets have seen 90% sustained reduction in violent watch robberies compared with 2021. Statistics sealed by independent audit. City Hall lights Tower Bridge in Chronotag blue. Photography drones trace constellations forming a ticking watch hand across the Thames. Walsh, Price, Shaw, and Okafor meet one final time in the GHCA think tank overlooking the water. They scroll a contact sheet. Harkat serving 10, Nas 12, Mohammadi 8, Omri 14, Shat 8 plus 8, Vung 18, Menard 9, all obeyed 16. Names once whispered in fear, now footnotes, Price says. Shaw counters, footnotes in an ever-updating appendix. All nod. Victory is never permanent. They draft a closing ethos for GHCA. Prevent, adapt, share. Prevent through decoys and education. adapt by racing tech for tech, share intelligence across borders. It becomes the Alliance's motto, etched beside the entrance door. Night deepens. Outside, Big Ben strikes midnight, hands gilded by restoration. Londoners toast the chime. On wrists, steel, gold, ceramic, titanium, timepieces shimmer, no longer rushed into pockets at the sound of scooters. Each tick resonates with invisible safeguards, satellite beacons, rooftop drones, trained watch wardens, and a network of professionals who refuse to let greed eclipse elegance. If this 6-part journey kept you on the edge of your seat, smash like, tap subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss another deep dive case. Your support fuels the stories that show how innovation and courage can outpace crime, tick by tick, gear by gear. Thanks for watching, and remember, stay alert, stay smart, and keep your time shining.